Hello everybody, welcome back to part 2 for our tutorial on the game Geometry Dash. Last week we should have left off with a basic scene, so if you play the game, there should be a little player, and then we have a really basic scene of just a few tiles, which the player can then jump on, like that. So what we want first to do now is add some spikes, as there are only tiles for the player to jump on, but no spikes. So going to the player scene, first, we want to create a new area 2D. In this one, we'll detect spikes. Obviously, let's first name it something. We'll name it kill, which is when we hit something. Then let's add a collision shape 2D. And then it needs to fit the same size. So new rectangle shape 2D. And looking at the other ones, they're 30 by 30. So we should make this one 30 by 30 also. And obviously now going into this area 2D, we can look at the collision. Right now it's on layer 1, mask 1. However, we know layer 1's the scene, layer 2's the ground, and layer 3 will make the spikes. So unclick both of them and add layer 3. So this way it will only detect the spikes. So if you hit the floor, you won't die because it's not a spike. Now going into the script, let's connect up the signal of body entered. So when any physics body enters, connects to the player. Here, what we want to do, just for testing for now, if we hit it, let's just delete the player node, so queue free, which deletes itself. And then we also want to create a signal up here so that we can let the game know once we died. So you do signal die to define a signal. So now here, before we delete ourselves, we want to first emit the signal. Died, like that. So now when a spike hits this area 2D, it calls on kill body entered. We first emit the signal, died, and then we delete ourselves. So now going back to the game script over here, we want to first create a new variable called alive. So we start off as live and we delete all these comments. So the player starts off alive. Now we need to first connect this signal, died, into game. You could connect it like this. However, it's best if we just connect it through the code because it might change. Like if the player's not here, then nothing will work. So we want to make a new function called player died. Then here we want to set alive equal to false. But we actually need to manually connect this function up to the signal emitted by the player node. So what we do is here we get the node player. We connect the signal died with ourselves and with the function player died. So this takes the signal you want to connect, who to connect it to, which is ourselves, then what function to call when the signal is emitted. The reason we need this alive variable is, as if we look in process here, the camera follows the player's position, but once the player is deleted, there's nothing to follow. So we want to put this inside an if statement. So if we are alive, then we do that. So if you play the game, nothing should have changed because the collision for spikes is on layer 3, and then the floor is only on mask 2 or mask 1, so that's where we don't hit anything. So now what we want to do is create a test triangle. So we want to do, going back here, we can add a static body. We can just name this one triangle. And then here we want to add a collision polygon. Not shape, a collision polygon. Here what we want to do is, if you zoom in, you can click the add, create points. So you click one point, so draw out a triangle. Like that, so now that's our triangle. But if you look at the player, it's probably a bit too big, so let me redo this one. You click that, you can delete all the points. So create a triangle that suits the size of the game, and this is just for testing, so it doesn't really matter. So that's a triangle. That's perfectly fine. So now make sure we go back to this static body in collision. We see that layer 1 and mask 1 is enabled, but we only want mask 3 since it's a spike. So now if we drag this around, we can select this so that the whole thing moves together, not just a collision shape. Now we can place a few here. And then maybe we can duplicate it. Put them throughout the level. Like that. So now if we play the game, we should be able to see that. If we don't hit them, we should not die. We missed the jump, but now if we hit them here, we should die and we disappear, nothing crashes, and then the camera stops moving. So this is a prototype that we just made for the game. However, obviously later on we'll add images and stuff to make it look better. We also want to add you died terms so the player actually knows they died for now. So create a new canvas layer. If you watch the last tutorial series on the game Dodger Creeps, you know canvas layer basically stays with the camera and it's always on the top layer. So add a new label here and call it you died. Here what we want to do is add the text you died. And then going down to theme overrides, font, new dynamic font, you click it, and then font, quick load, and load the only font we have. And then in settings, you can change it to a size like 50. And then obviously we want to make it in the center, so it's going up to layout. You can just select center, like that. So now you should see it should be centered. And obviously we want to make this invisible at first. So now going back to script, once we died, we also want to make this visible. Equal to true. So we set the visibility equal to true of the label node. So now if we play this, then if we hit something like this, say you died. This is all that we will get to for this week. However, next week we'll start using a tile map to make everything much easier. So make sure you stay tuned for next week.